good to see you. Welcome to another edition of God Stories with Biblebob. If you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, I encourage you to go there because then you get to see the beautiful people that we have on here, not including myself, but we got beautiful people here. But to be able to see people and to see their expressions, and the one thing I learned years ago when I was a politician, well, I tried to be a politician, I wasn't a good one, and I didn't get voted in, except for a school board. But what I know is that on camera, the camera shows whether you're telling the truth or not. The camera shows whether you're being genuine or not. So I encourage you, unless you're driving, we don't want you to be watching YouTube when we're driving, but check out the YouTube channel and tell a friend about it and share the good word. Today's topic is both tender, gut wrenching, but ultimately the message is healing and inspirational. I'm sitting with a young lady named Fox. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And her story includes multiple suicide attempts. And in my life, I don't know that I would actually say that suicide is very dear to me, but I've had family members very close to me commit suicide. Others attempt to commit suicide. So um, it's something that is preventable, I think. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Fox tell her story. It's a God story. God got a hold of her, and that's why she's here. She wants to give glory back to Him and to be able to help other people and to be able to give people a healing message that will both inspire. And you know what? I hope her message goes viral because it's huge and it's healing. So without further ado, I'm just going to clam up and turn it away. Fox, thank you so much for being here and tell us your story.
Thank you. I remember when I was very, very little, I didn't have a father in my life. And Bob had a sermon a little while ago talking about the father shaped hole. And that memory came up. And I remember very clearly, I'm just sitting outside looking at a tree. And I realized my dad wasn't there because I was going to be a disappointment. And I was a monster. And I had carried that pain with me for a very, very long time. Like, I didn't know what suicide was, but I knew I didn't want to be alive anymore. Another thing I want to point out too is I was raised atheist. I was taught at a very young age there is no such thing as God. Faith is for the weak, and there really is no hope. Um, that's that's a very painful way to grow
Mm,
up, and and of course through the years I grew up and I got into drug and alcohol addiction. And I mainly did that is a lot of people talk about, oh, I partied, I had fun, and fun was kind of a side effect to it. I did it because so I didn't care about wanting to die anymore. And one reason I didn't have any attempts when I was really little either is I didn't want to leave my mom alone.
mm,
She's a single mom. I was literally the only person who mattered to her. And I did the drugs and alcohol, completely burned my life down. And I got to a point where I was living in this homeless shelter. Now, the people were very, very nice. They helped me as much as they could, but with that soul pain, I want to go over the soul pain just a little bit. I didn't know this until later. I couldn't see colors
mm,
at all. Like, of course, I could see blue and green and pink and what have you, but it was dull. It didn't have any life to it. It didn't have any light. No, food wasn't very enticing at all. The people there loved me. I couldn't feel the love at all. The pain was right here. So I was very lonely.
mm,
And and I remember with my first suicide attempt, I I walked up to some people at the homeless shelter and I said, "Listen, I'm going to kill myself, and there's not a thing you can do about it." And they didn't know whether or not I was joking or anything. Like, my sense of humor is so dry sometimes you can't tell
mm,
if I'm joking or
mm,
not. So I went to a grocery store and I got a tea and stole a whole bunch of pills. I took them in the bathroom. And I waited for a really long time. I wasn't feeling any effects and I was so disappointed. I thought I failed at a suicide attempt.
Mm.
And I went out into the bathroom and the security team was just like, "Hey, where's our product?" And so I just made the joke of like sticking my fingers down my throat. And so they pulled me into the back and they called an ambulance. And and the ambulance came and they took me to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital is when the drugs took effect.
Mm.
I ended up getting this rash all over my body. I had the worst headache I've ever had in my life. And another thing too is, and this is really gross and graphic, but it is kind of important. I was building up this salty khaki fluid in my lungs, so I had to keep. I don't even know what the bodily function is to keep them out, but I
Mm.
had to do that. But there was a nurse in that room. Her name is Shannon, and she held my hand through the whole process, or at least until I got so tired from the pain and all that other stuff that I passed out. And they kept me in that hospital for a few days. I think a few days. And she came and visited me. She'd bring me lunch. She was just an angel. And when I got out, they put me in a little group home temporarily, and she would take me to church.
Mm.
Now, granted, being raised atheist, I wanted nothing to do with this Jesus business. And but another thing is too is my mom always raised me on, listen, we may not understand their beliefs, may not agree with them at all. Everybody has a right to believe in what they believe in. As a human being, that is their right. You don't have to agree with it, but you have to respect it. And another thing too, if I got invited anywhere, I would go because I'd appreciate it. These people thought of me, and so she invited me to church, and I went. And it was during the worship service. I don't remember the song or anything like that, but I remember I was the song was on. I was singing, and this warmth just came right through my body, and it was just it was. I felt the love and everything in
Mm.
it, and I
Wow.
cried. I cried through the whole worship service. And thankfully, I collected myself enough to where I wasn't crying during the
Mm.
sermon. I don't even remember what the sermon was. Oh, just that
Most
feeling.
people don't, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and so she kept inviting me to church and different potlucks and things like that. But I still wasn't ready to accept Christ. I was still just kind of like that just love is scary.
Mm.
Accepting love, especially like a powerful unconditional love that God has, it can be a terrifying thing.
Mm.
And I remember um, walking over a bridge, and I had my shoes off because I like going barefoot wherever I go, and I was in an area where I could do it. So I'm
Mm.
just carrying my sandals. And I remember stopping in my tracks, going, okay, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are. I don't even know if you're out there. Just please help me. I can't do this anymore. And it just felt like this 1,000 pounds of bricks just lifted right off of me.
Wow.
And I cried all the way back to the homeless shelter. I did. And my mom was in Arizona at the time, Cottonwood, Arizona, and Shannon helped me get down here because I told my mom, "Hey, I basically burned my life to the ground." And she said, "All right, well, come down here. I'll help you get back on your feet." And that did not happen.
Mm.
No, because I also had an untreated mental illness at the time too, on top of being dry off of
Mm.
drugs and alcohol, and feelings are scary.
Mm.
So down here, I did a little more damage, and I just kept having suicide attempts after suicide attempts because like I knew there was a God, I knew Jesus loved me. I didn't know how to connect with him. I didn't know how to talk to him. Nobody was here to teach me the word.
Mm.
And And after a suicide attempt, the mental health clinic transported me to a hospital for observation and to get my meds right and everything. And this lady who was driving, I did not know this, but she was a staff member at a drug and alcohol rehab, and she had experience with addiction as
Mm-hmm.
well. So she's asking me all these questions about my drinking and my using and everything, and I thought it was just war stories.
Mm.
And so after she dropped me off and she came back, she went to the lady who founded the rehab and said, "Listen, I have a woman here who really needs your help." And I did not want to go to rehab. I wasn't able to accept, like, hey, this is a legitimate problem. But I was also happy because I was homeless too.
Mm.
And it was there is when I really started developing my relationship with God. And I managed to stay clean for a few years. And then I remember very clearly. I was at a meeting, and I remember going like, you know what? I've been doing this for a couple years now. I know a little bit about recovery. I know a little bit about the Bible and all this other stuff. I think I know what's going on here.
Mm.
I got this. And those are the most dangerous words you can ever say
Mm.
because it made me unteachable. I closed off my mind and I closed off my heart to God. And it took me a while, about a year, until I dried up and became really disconnected. And I started going through a relapsing spree. I started doing other self destructive behavior as well. And my sobriety date is actually the last time I attempted suicide. And that was a real reality check because um, I remember like taking all the drugs and I'm starting to overdose. Like I'm feeling like nauseous, I'm getting clammy, I'm getting shaky, and I'm tucking my 2-year old into bed. And
Mm.
I I have not prayed that hard before or since. I pretty much just laid in bed and begged God to keep me here because I want to see my son grow up.
Mm.
No, I want to see him, like, of course, he's an itty bitty toddler. I wanted to see him go to school. I want to see him graduate high school, get his first job, get his first girlfriend, have his first heartbreak, and things like that. I want to
Mm.
watch him experience life for the first time. And I, I thank God a lot for granting me that
Wow.
request.
Wow.
Mhm.
So you've had multiple attempts, excuse me. And if you were to look back on it, how could it have been, what would have prevented you? I mean, obviously we can say, well, if dad was there, maybe
Mhm.
it would have started, but sometimes we can't control that. The sad fact of the matter is, I think 1 in 4 households don't really grow up with a family together, which is a problem. And so, what can people do to avoid that destructive thought pattern of wanting to take your own life?
Well, just the biggest thing is ask for help.
Mm.
Like I know with that kind of depression, with that kind of pain, it's just sometimes it hits you head on, and other times it's a very gradual process. Like I have chronic depression,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I get some really big dips. And at first I'm like, okay, I'm used to this. I can handle this. Just pray a little more and what have you. And next thing you know, I'm up to my eyeballs in depression. I'm
Mm.
in all sorts of unmanageability. So just the biggest thing is ask for help.
Mm.
It's a scary thing to do, and I know sometimes I feel like a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But another thing I've come to learn too is that there are people who care. There are people who love you
Mm.
as well, and there's organizations that are especially made for people who get into that kind of trouble.
Wow, that is good. Just as a side note here, we will have in the show notes some numbers that you can call. I mean, obviously, you can leave me a message, and I know Fox would love to help you in whatever way she can. We'll put people together, and we'll have numbers in the show notes so you can either contact professionals. Obviously, it goes without saying, if you're really in a crisis, you call 911 first. We're not mental health professionals, but we're like pointer people. We'll point you to the people who really can help you. And at the very least, we'll pray for you, which may be the most powerful thing that we can do. So, this is what I'm going to call as possibly part one. I don't know if I'm prophetically speaking that we'll have Fox come back and tell the continuing story, but some of the high points when you say the words, I got this, that's the biggest lie that you could tell yourself. When we stop being teachable and close off our hearts, it was something I wrote years ago, which will eventually be a book. It's called The Brick Heart. It's how we put up bricks around our heart, the brick of rejection, the brick of abandonment, the brick of low self esteem. And we leave one brick in the middle as like a glass block window so that we can at least see outside into the world to give us a sense of normalcy. And we can take that brick away. Maybe we can smell a flower every now and then, or maybe even reach out and touch somebody just so that we can give us a sense of normalcy. But then we retreat back behind the brick heart. But the powerful love that Fox talked about, the powerful love that God has for us, which is it's so real. The warmth that Fox felt, I felt that myself. Mine was like a pixie dust on a Star Trek where they beam you up. It was incredible the day God got a hold of me. But the other thing I want to leave you with an encouragement, and then ask Fox if she's got any final words. Notice that it was a process. It didn't happen all at once. Jesus was scary. Okay, this whole Jesus thing, this God thing, love that you have not known and don't know what it is, you're afraid to be vulnerable, especially when you've been broken so many times. That's scary. Allow the scariness to be a part of your process, but don't stop moving forward. Look more into it because there's really truly genuine people of whom Fox is one of them that will love you and explain what love is to you. And I think we all need a little bit more of that. Fox, you got any more words or any other things you'd like to share?
I do. Um, One thing I came to realize really, really early in this whole experience is it doesn't matter how you feel, who's doing what, or what's going on. So long as you're breathing, there is always hope.
Mm,
Always.
that's a good word. This morning I was studying, I was in Psalm 39, and it talks about somebody who's really down on their, I don't want to use the word luck, but down on their life. And what it dawned on me is that there's always glory in the gloom. If you were to take a storm over the ocean, over the lake, and it's coming at you like a tsunami, it's bad. But if you were to take that same storm and spread it out over the many waters of the world, it becomes a refreshing mist because it's dissipated over time. The things we go through in life, which has brevity of blessedness and bitterness, there's an end to it and it's glorious. So, within any gloom that you might have, you got to know that even in the darkest night, the next day the sun gets up. The darkest night has a limit, it's limited. God limits the darkness, He limits Satan, He limits the evil that's in your life. Don't live a limited life. Grasp the limitlessness of God and look out over the horizon. That sun is going to rise. The sun of righteousness will arise with healing in its wings. You will be healed. Fox, I'm just, I hope we do a part two. I don't know what it's going to be about or what it will do, but I've enjoyed this so much. I've learned a lot. Um, the whole teachable thing is huge. Teachable and humble. So that's beautiful. So thank you so much. Jesus loves you, so do we. And with that, we all set for now.
We are.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we're all set. Hey, thanks for being here. Go do something nice for somebody. Jesus loves you, so do we. See ya.